Yo, it's your boy Nikki Duce, a.k.a. Wasizzle, a.k.a. Nikki Valentine. And this is No Disrespect. How y'all doing, fellas?
What's good with y'all motherfuckers? It's Swaff in the building, straight out of Houston. Tell my baby I'm back in motherfucking town. Hey. I had to get myself hyped real quick, my bad.
That catchphrase needed a ticket out of town, I'll tell you that much. But this is Ali coming to you live. Too cold to hold and too hot to handle.
I like to call this y'all coming straight live from 28 days of niggatism. That's what I like to call 28 days of these niggas. We only get 1 month apparently.
Oh yeah, because of Black History Month.
Yeah, man. But hey, I'm celebrating. I'm celebrating.
Well, speaking of niggas who just now celebrating, Drake celebrating 10 years. So Far Gone. It's the 10th anniversary this year.
Damn, man. Do y'all remember where y'all was when y'all first heard that shit?
Drake is probably one of the first artists that I discovered on my own. I think
Lies.
it was either Bow Wow or Drake.
Lies.
To be honest with you, I gotta give props to my cousin because he was on that shit when, like, I think the first track I heard from him was "Ransom" with Wheezy.
Yeah.
Remember that track?
Was that was on the Wayne mixtape, right?
I think it
Was it like
Ransom?
The,
No.
The
That
Leak
was
5? Wasn't it on the Leak?
Nah.
I don't
that
know
was
per
on,
se,
what
but
the
my
fuck was that
cousin,
on?
shout out to Abbas, he's the one who gave me
Oh,
my intro to Drake.
okay.
And
What you think first listen?
First listen, I mean, I wasn't, well, if I look back at it now, when it was first listen, it was like, dude, Wheezy Cash Money Records was hot, and that shit was coming up strong. So when someone was coming up under that, like, family tree, per
Yeah,
se,
you was checking them out.
oh yeah, 100%. I mean, Lil Wayne was the best rapper in the game at that, like in any given moment, he was dropping straight fire. So when you heard that Drake was this, rapper, whoever he is, coming up, you damn well know everyone's heads came out of the ground and they were waiting for that first drop.
Yeah.
So Far Gone, I mean, I think my favorite album of his is Take Care still to this day. But I think So Far Gone still holds up as a record, given it's a sappy ass fucking record. But it's like Take Care really deals with what we were discussing a couple of minutes ago about that heartbreak and mentality that you need to have.
Yeah,
that's
really
why it's called Take Care, like taking care of yourself. I feel like that's my.
What about you, Swell? You remember where you was at So Far Gone?
Yeah. I was at the Springdale Rack. My nigga showed me because I hadn't heard that tape. I had heard Drake before. The first song I heard of Drake was on the Comeback Season. That was this song right here, Going In For Life. Had this smooth sample. That shit hooked me. But bars weren't that strong to me. But
For that song?
He had a flow. Yeah, for that song.
Okay.
But the first song I heard off of So Far Gone, I was hooked at that point. It was Unstoppable with Wayne. Woo! He said, I don't even want to repeat no bars, but he had a flow on that shit where he didn't stop. Like, I ain't never on the fence. I ain't Mr. Feeney. Nah, I got a decent set of manners and a job that fills up any open schedule or a planner.
Yeah,
and
I
I fall in
remember
love
that
with
shit.
girls caught up in superficial glamour. Hey, he started spazzing on that shit.
That was when he was your light skinned hero at that point.
He
right?
adopted. You know what? That stigma of light skin versus dark skin did not exist back then.
Bruh, chill out.
It really didn't.
It
Bro, that
always
shit been around
exists.
No, it didn't.
That shit been around forever.
No, it has
always
not.
existed.
Not amongst popular demand like type shit. Like maybe like woke niggas, but when you're that young, you not woke. We weren't woke. I didn't look at other dark skinned niggas like, oh, he doing some dark skin shit, or I'm doing some light skin shit. It wasn't a thing back then.
I would say when I don't remember specifically how I heard So Far Gone, but I remember being really into mixtapes at the time and just listening to a bunch of shit. And then I think it was a Wayne mixtape that I listened to that had Drake on it. So when I saw that he had his own mixtape coming out with a bunch of Wayne features, I checked it out, and then the first song is what got to me was Lust for Life. Like,
That's a good song.
that shit was at the time gangster rap, just super macho rap was in because Wayne was at the top. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't really diving into the feelings and shit. But when I hear Drake, and he was just very very introspective as far as explaining who he is, explaining how he feels and how he deals with women and just other bullshit. And it just gravitated towards me, and I just spread it around. Like, I was just, putting all my niggas on that didn't know it, Then listen to it. I was like, bro, you gotta check this out.
Yeah.
So today is the day that it got, released on all streaming platforms for the first time. It was very rare for a mixtape with so many samples, and this nigga really freestyling
To
over
make it that deep,
to make it on a streaming platform. And I was bumping it this morning. I was like, this shit kind of still holds up. Like,
Yeah, it does.
perfect, damn near perfectly.
It does hold up. It does. Because it still feels like, well, for at least I think for us between like middle and 20s, I think it's great for us because Drake will always be relatable in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I'll tell you that.
Was he like Jay-Z?
No, not like Jay-Z.
Relatable. That's what he's a relatable.
Jay-Z is not relatable.
You cannot relate to a man that basically owns half the island of Manhattan. You know what I mean? You can't relate to someone like that.
To some extent.
To what extent?
He cheated on his girl.
Cool.
Maybe that resonated with you.
No, I'm just
Maybe
saying.
you.
I'm just saying. First
that
of all,
was related. Okay, fair enough. Anything else? Anything.
Post Valentine's Day.
But no, let's not.
First of all, if I call myself Nicki Valentino, that means I'm faithful to one and one only. So
That's
chill
not
out.
true.
Amen.
Let's not act like that style though of music was like that was him setting the precedent.
What you mean?
He was definitely
Drake.
He was definitely came with the sound that we have heard before in essence of he was in touch with his feelings, saying relatable shit. We had heard that before already.
Drake
a year
never
before
did-
that. You know who was saying that shit?
You talking about
Drake?
Kanye?
No, I'm talking about Soulja Boy. Kiss Me Through the Phone. If y'all don't saying that he set that precipice of actually being a nigga and actually speaking on some lighthearted shit like, oh, I'm feeling these girls because of her curves and how her ass look in the jeans, a little sappy shit like that. Not on some level like, oh, I'm on a fuck. No, he was saying some like low key like nigga romantic shit. Soulja Boy was, and that was a year before that. Kiss Me Through the Phone came out in 2008.
I'm really
You know what?
disappointed he brought this up.
Can you argue with that?
You know what I'm gonna say? I'm just gonna say this: we got to give Soulja his flowers now, cause I know you're looking at me. No, because even though he says some,
Is he dead?
No,
We
no,
can
no.
give him flowers.
No, you give him his flowers now because he changed the game.
Did you not bump Kiss Me Through the Phone?
No. Next question.
Did you bump Crank that? Yes.
For a moment.
Okay. So
It was for a
he's the
moment.
reason why the internet, as far as rappers, as far as just any artist who has their own platform organically, he is the reason why you have that now. He's the reason why you can make money on YouTube.
You know what?
Yes.
That's fair. I'll give that to him. But where has he held up? Has he stood the test of time?
Yeah, he's
Yes,
still
he stood
relevant.
the test of time.
How is he
Are you
relevant?
saying musically? Because that's a different question.
That's exactly
What you should be asking
Okay,
is
musically,
Listen, man,
maybe
we're talking about
nah.
We're talking about a rap artist, so I'm gonna stick to music.
Okay, well
he's had a hit within.
Well,
the
he's
last,
not just a rap artist, so that's just one of his ventures that he's an entrepreneur at this point. When he has deals with what is it, the World Poker Funds Holding, holding funds, whatever this shit is. When he has deals with YouTube, when he has a gaming console, we're still talking about this shit. He can get sued for it, but he was in position to make this shit happen. But all I'm saying is this: Soulja Boy set the precedent for a lot of motherfuckers, and he basically started mumble rap.
You know what? I'm glad that we're bringing this up. That the fact
Started mumble rap.
like we're talking about such a specific time
right
in history,
here,
especially Black History Month going on, and the topics that we're discussing today. I'm really glad that you brought up the fact that Soulja Boy is going to be looked at under a microscope of we need to bring him into the light where he's doing something special. How is he helping everyone around him? Now,
he's already done it by laying the blueprint.
He paved the way.
Yeah,
That's how he
exactly.
helped
Yeah,
somebody.
oh, okay. So media-wise, he's done a great job by paving the cement for other artists to walk on and not only make the genre worse.
I mean,
But
worse is subjective.
Yeah, it's subjective.
Some people might say it's more open and free and actually, not confined to some lane than ever.
You could say
I like that about music. Like, I had to think about it really because it's like I don't really fuck with there's some songs where it's like in my head I'm like, this nigga is garbage. This nigga is shitty. Like, listen to the words he's saying. But then it's like I have to admire the fact that this is his sound. Like, this is not nobody else's is going to create this shit. Like, this is his sound. And that's exactly what Soulja Boy did. He paved the way for that. Like, at the end of the day, he was an internet phenomenon because ain't nobody else had come up with some dance crave like him with some simple ass music. No one was making club bangers with such simplistic lyrics,
And
and all it was heavy punchlines and quotes. Like, that's all Soulja Boy was. He paved the way for motherfuckers who are still popping now, because that's what the game is now: punchlines and quotes.
And I don't always like to ask people, specifically black people, to be like, oh, you was popping back then, but what are you doing for me now? It's just more of like, when you're sick.
I don't think it's about what you're doing for me, but I think it's about like what you actually, if you are a prominent artist, right? You become a prominent artist.
Yeah.
Your main focus to me should become your community. It should not only become what you're doing musically, right? Or, oh, I did this so I can take a backseat to whatever. I think that's how you create longevity.
No, but I mean, what he did when he first started created longevity. That's what I'm saying. Like, he doesn't, to me, Soulja Boy can never make a hit again or whatever the fuck, or he could just, bow out and say, I'm retired, and his legacy will still reign on, because look at what Drake did. To bring it back to Drake, like, look at what he did with his hit single, In My Feelings. Like, he had a dance craze. That shit started with
not
him.
only In My Feelings, but Drake, in case you haven't noticed, with every single album he drops, there is one punchline that stays relevant till the next album comes out. There's the In My Feelings challenge, and everything like that. Then there's Nonstop. It's catchy quips and catchy lines that people love to say. YOLO is still, I don't know why it's still set to this day, but it is. And it's just, he has this theme about him. It becomes kind of like a running gag where an artist comes out and he says one specific line and everybody around every corner of the globe is saying it. Drake has not changed thematically as an artist. He hasn't done anything that's jumped off the page. Like, Scorpion was Lord of the Rings in an album. It was so long, and I only watched it once. I mean, I only listened to it once. Couldn't sit through it a second fucking time. Hell no. Nobody got time like that. I got gray hairs, Nick.
Listen to that album.
Right. So it's just, why would I do that? But he creates that theme. And every artist, I will say this, Drake did set that precedent in which Future, like, Young Thug and all these guys give it. I don't listen to them that much, but the songs that you do listen to, they got that one line, they got that one word that everyone keeps on saying over and over again.
Would you people, the argument has been for Drake is that he doesn't have a classic, and even with the 10th anniversary of So Far Gone, and with a lot of people, really. This mixtape meant more than a lot of albums that came out over the last 10 years. So, is this his classic?
So Far Gone?
Yes.
No, Take Care is.
So you would take Care over So Far Gone?
I would take Care over any one of his albums. Yes.
What about you, Suave?
Take Care over. Yeah, Take Care is
No, I'm
probably
saying
his best album.
I don't think.
So
I
Far
think Take
Gone.
Care.
So Far Gone holds up. But you and I gotta both admit that shit is still. He still sounds so raw.
Yeah, he does. He sounds raw.
He sounds green as fuck.
Yeah, he sounds raw, and I would say Take Care is just a polished version of.
I mean,
So
nothing
Far
was
Gone.
the same as probably tied with me as far as his best.
And people
album.
bring that up a lot. That's like the top.
But
three.
I don't want to spin out of control too much, because I do, like you said, we got to give this man Soulja Boy his flowers now. Let's think about it like this, y'all.
Oh boy.
How old was Drake when he got his first Grammy nominee?
I have no idea.
Okay, he was 25.
Okay, cool.
How old was Soulja Boy when he got his first Grammy nominee?
18.
Can we see who sets the precedent here?
Wait a second, was that right?
Yes.
Oh fuck.
He was 18 years old, bro.
I was about to say he came out when he was like 17.
He was
Yeah.
18 years old. He's the youngest rapper to ever have a Grammy nominee. Still. So if you're saying he's not relevant still, think about shit like that. Think about the fact that he still is getting money from YouTube, from motherfucking Crank That.
We don't know.
Okay.
We don't know what his publishing is like. So we don't
yeah,
get
we
money.
don't know.
What you mean?
But-
He was
but-
one of
but-
the first people to what's it called?
listen,
Copyright a
listen.
dance.
If you
niggas still
if
ain't doing that
you-
today.
If you
They ain't doing it today for a lot of reasons. It's not because it's copyright.
No, it's not. I'm saying niggas aren't copyrighting their
Still
dance
talking about
today.
him. Why are we still talking about him, dude?
Because he's a pioneer,
No, I mean
bro.
this is
Jeez.
Black History Month, so we gonna give Soulja Boy.
I know you don't like his
Give him-
music,
give him
like
his-
you
give him
feel like
his
it's
5 cents.
outdated and shit like that. But at the end of the day, did he not pave the way?
Good for
And
him.
I want that
good
to
for
be
him.
recognized.
He paved the way for artists, but I don't see any of those artists that he paved the way for giving him shout outs like, damn yo, that was because of Soulja. I don't hear anybody doing that.
Yeah, it's disrespect.
Yeah. I mean,
So
That's just-
okay,
that's all that
cool.
is.
but speaking of black men creating entrepreneurship opportunities for themselves, have y'all seen that Killer Mike trigger warning series?
Okay, I want to say this. Sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
I love Killer Mike. I love Run the Jewels. If y'all don't listen to their music, go out there, listen to Run the Jewels 1, 2, and 3. Great content, great hip hop, and it's got everything that you need to know about not only because this guy's main focus is the black community.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the shit out of that.
Yet his partner is white.
He's an ally.
He breaks bread with white men.
All right.
Chill
so
out,
what?
bro.
So do you.
I hate to say it like that, but it's black. It's
So do
nigga.
you.
You get
It's 28
paid by-
days of niggatism.
You get paid by white men.
right.
Huh?
You get paid by white
That
men.
Who,
jersey,
me?
that
Yes.
jersey's
I
made
would
by a
not
white
like
man.
to.
That jersey was made by a white man.
You don't know that shit.
That jersey has a white man. so right. Okay.
All right, says the nigga with the motherfucking Eagles jersey on.
The quarterback is a white man.
Their team is a.
Do you see me upset? No. I mean, what? Yeah.
Nah, but
course.
no.
But
Have,
no,
y-
I mean shit.
have y'all seen the series at all?
Of
Or at least
course.
any
Yeah,
episode?
I've seen a
watched
couple
it the
episodes.
second it
I've seen a
dropped.
couple episodes.
And listen, when he I wouldn't necessarily say expose, because to be honest with you, I went back and watched it, Marcus. We should have already been known this. I think we have known this, but we don't actually discuss it as openly as we should.
What, basically every episode
Basically,
he had?
every episode
We already knew. Like, it was undercover.
We done.
It's one of those things you don't want to admit.
Listen, these are things that I feel like as humans we're embarrassed of, especially when there's shame involved, especially within a community that is supposed to be tight-knit but ain't, a community that in majority most people decide to hate each other than love each other. Yeah, we've been known this. He's just quickly just flashing a flashlight over it and going like, just take a little bit longer and just peep at this real quick. Just look at this. Just look at exactly how deep the roots run. And me and you were discussing this at work, and you were like, some brothers just needed spoon-fed to them. Marcus, I refuse to believe that some people need to have the truth not only fucking right here, as plain as day, put in front of their face, but they need to swallow it, crap it out, and try to eat that shit again.
What are you talking about specifically?
Hold on, before we go any further, never call me Marcus on this show. I am Swaff.
Sorry, Swaff.
All right.
What are you talking about specifically as far as exposed?
As exposed, I mean, like, for instance, like the $1 stays in the black community for 6 hours.
That's
To me-
dropped.
That
Somehow. More entrepreneurs have been coming up, and that number has dropped over the course of the decade.
I think
It used to be 18.
that is a horrifying number, especially when you have, obviously being a black man in America, you have everything set up to be against you. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, most things, yes.
Right. Most things that will drive you to success are built to
Keep us out.
to keep you out.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean. So when he says, that's one thing I latched onto, right? Where, why is that happening? Like, for instance, I'm of Southeastern descent. I'm Pakistani, but I support my local Pakistani business or Indian business because that's the way we get our food. You know, I eat halal meat, that kind of good stuff, right? But it comes from my land. Not my land, but it comes from where people that look like me made this stuff right here. It came off of their farms and all that stuff. Their products. It's their name. It's not processed by a white man. It's not owned by anybody else but people that look like me. So when he did that living black thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It goes to show you have opportunities to do it, but it's entirely up to you to go support, right?
Yeah.
No one can force you or put a gun to your head to go like, you got to go shop at this all black supermarket. You have to, you can't be using your iPhone. You can't be doing this. You can't be doing that. We take it upon ourselves to make it harder. Like life would be so hard for me if I you know, like if I didn't have like that Pakistani Southeastern supermarket, but somehow, some way, those businesses, like, we find them. We will go out of our way to go do that, right?
And you're saying that he exposed how the black community doesn't do that.
Well, let's unwrap that then.
Absolutely.
Because I think what we're not mentioning in the obvious shit, obviously, like, is the simple fact that, one, y'all didn't get here the same way we got here. So most cultures didn't get here the same way we got here. Most races. Either they were immigrants or they were forced here. You feel me? Migrants. So when you put it in that frame, yeah, you're going to stick together when you came here together. But when you were brought here and now it's been years of oppression. It's been years of systematically engraving in your head that this way is better. Buying from these white establishments, buying from these companies is better. That's when you get caught in the mold of, all right, well, I'm not going to fuck with my own kind. I get it cheaper from the white man.
Well,
I'm not gonna pay more to get it from ours.
I got a counter for that, but
yeah, I agree with both sides. I see both sides' point, because Suave does bring up good points as far as there was no sense of unity. It was just more of black people in this country historically have been treated like cattle, and have only been quote unquote free
for 52 years.
For like less than a century, for half a century.
Yeah.
But I also agree that at this point in time in 2019. The fact that he exposed that one of the blackest cities in this country still doesn't have some sort of system where there's like a black community that supports itself, like
it's self-sustaining.
Self-sustaining in as far as food, as far as drugs, as far as medical
culture,
stuff,
whatever it is.
You see it spread out throughout the city, of course. Like, it's a black city, don't get me wrong. But as far as what he was exposing was, do we have how many black farmers are actually still, up and running now?
And how much are we helping that cause?
And that's what I was going to say. Like, I hear what you're saying, because it is sad that like you said, in one of the most known black cities in America, like, it's still a struggle to find this and that.
That made my jaw drop.
Let's not forget, he went to Athens, and you're not gonna find a Pakistani superstore in Athens. Look this shit up.
I'm telling you, bro. Listen.
You think you will? Look this shit up. He went to Athens. You're not gonna find shit but some white folks in there in a black barbershop.
Listen, man. It just so happens he decided to live black, right?
Because when he was in Atlanta, he found a black grocery store.
He struggled in Atlanta.
He found a bicycle store.
But he still struggled.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But he
still struggled. He couldn't use his car. He couldn't fucking eat the food out of his fridge.
He couldn't even eat at a black-owned business because the food that they had did not come from black farmers.
And that was in Athens. Athens is country, bro. There's still black people out there.
You're in America. That's not even realistic.
What do you mean not realistic?
God.
It's not realistic to say to the source, I'm gonna stay black, or to the source, I'm gonna stay Pakistani.
It's with
because you don't ask those questions when you go into your supermarket. You don't know how many of them stores is just supplied by Pakistani sourced companies.
You know what? First of all, I want to thank all the black bankers that helped us put up our grocery stores. Because if y'all ain't using them,
and then you're getting loans from a different race. So why wouldn't you get loans from your black owned?
The young black entrepreneurs ain't using their resources. I mean, they just aren't. It's obvious. It's so obvious that, like, how disrespectful that is. Because that's why all these small little communities break apart so easily. You have a liquor store, and then you have a church, and then you have it's like vices. You pick your poison. You pick exactly what as we said earlier before this question even rose up, was that the system is built to defeat you. But at some point it starts to become a choice about where you make your decisions. It does. It's human nature. We're not dumb. We're not animals. We're not stupid, dude. We can make that choice. It's up to me. It's up to you. I support my local black business. So shout out to Gene. Dope ass black barber. Chops me up real nice. But I support it, right? And of course I get weird looks when I step in because majority of the faces in there are black. But I like the haircut. I love the conversation. And I know for a fact I'm helping that local business out, a privately owned black business out. Not many people and not many black-owned businesses
That's the
in that area last.
That's the only business that black people I think wholeheartedly supports directly, like black with black is cosmetics or like hair. So
Yeah.
it's either barbershops or beauty shops.
I mean, restaurants too.
You know, I'm
Yeah,
glad.
okay, restaurants.
More so
but
food
I'm
trucks.
just saying like black like with restaurants, they still have to. They may get that their food and ingredients from white farmers. I'm talking about like
And that's
just black,
bullshit. Like,
black on black.
and that's dumb as fuck. Like when he pointed that out, that kind of pissed me off because it's like, I feel what the point he was trying to break down. It's like, all right, you want to live completely black, but you are in America. And
So you're saying we have to settle? We have to settle at some point.
That's not what we're going for.
But you're saying
we're not going to believe all black, or else we wouldn't be looking at Martin Luther King as an idol when he
But
has a
y'all
dream
want
of us
unity.
holding hands in hands. What do you mean we want unity?
You want it.
Okay, we want
you want
we
cohesiveness.
want
with
unity,
your-
but not by way of segregation.
Listen,
That's
you
not
want-
what we want. We don't want unity by way of
But
segregation.
he brought up a good point as far as
like that's silly to me.
What's the point of integration if all we're doing is just buying Gucci and Louis and all that other bullshit?
Oh.
What's the point of because when we were segregated, that's when we had the Black Wall Street. That's when we had a lot more black. That's when we were able to do the Montgomery boycott. When we try to, like, nowadays when we try to do boycotts, you got people like Floyd Mayweather coming out and saying this I don't give a fuck about that shit.
It's not about
it's
segregation or desegregation. It's about finding your people that can be self-sufficient, that don't need to rely on anybody.
and that's my point. It's
Okay,
it's like this, bro. It's like if white farmers start bringing up the prices of their crops and everything that the black restaurants or the black grocery stores have to purchase from, they have no other alternative but to subdue to those prices. But if you had a black farmer in competition with them and saying, you know what, they're raising their prices, but my prices are more reasonable, then you have some level of competition where the white person has to respond to that, because at the end of the day, it's all about green. That's the only color that really matters in this country. So when you don't have competition, you have monopolies. That's the whole reason why most of the black hair care business right now is owned by white people. It's not
Okay,
even
so
owned by
let's
blacks.
take that whole example that Killer Mike had, and just so everybody knows, Killer Mike had an episode where he was just living black, and so he was only buying from products from black establishments. He went to the strip club. He was only tipping the black hoes. He went to a restaurant, and he was about to eat the food. It was a black-owned restaurant. He was about to eat the food, but he stopped because his white friend reminded him that this food probably isn't grown from a black farmer. So in that moment, Killer Mike decided to, actually, I think he still paid the man.
Yeah, he still paid it.
But let's say he caught that before he even ordered. He was going to decide to not put his dollar into that black-owned restaurant's hands simply because that black farmer probably is buying his produce and his meat from a white man who might be selling it more than a black farmer that he knows. Even if they even know black farmers, like, we might have a shortage of black farmers. That might be the case.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of that. But the simple fact that you're thinking down to the core, I'm going to take money out of this black man, this black business owner, because he's not black to the core. What does that do for the community?
How can you say that, but then you start off this conversation by saying that the black dollar only lasts 6 hours in our community? How can you say that it's
the black dollar would still be in the community? What do you mean?
Listen. How can you say that it's ignorant and it's damn near stupid for him not to eat that when he tried an experiment of just doing simply pure black hands, black all that. Let me finish. How can you say that from that side and then say, oh, because it's dumb for him not to get it because it's coming from a black restaurant? Like I said, if those white farmers, if they wanted to, they could cut off that black man's supply, and he would have to go out of his way. He would have to probably go into more debt, because restaurants are one of the most top failing businesses in the country. You have to go into more debt just to find a way to even just break even. My thing is this: when you start looking at things from a dollars and cents things, the power comes from money. It's all economy. That's why the white people, Asian community, that's why they have a lot of power, and now even the Mexican community is rising up. The Jewish community, it's all because of money. That's why there's a stereo. I would want to get to a point in time where black people in this country, with the stereotype is that we're very frugal with our money and that we're known to be in petty positions.
Hold on. I gotta respond to that
I'm fine
because
with being frugal.
you're clearly not thinking about the cause. He was trying to extend the time that the black dollar was in the black community, right?
Yes.
So him paying that restaurant owner who owns the black business, that would be extending the time because he could have went to a white establishment, and it wouldn't be until that restaurant is now restocking on their food and produce that the black dollar
Which
leaves.
they do a lot, bro.
That the dollar leaves. That would be the only time.
And that's if black people go to that
So
restaurant.
Listen, man,
you
if you
still did your job of lengthening that time that the black community is in. But what you want to keep the dollar in the black community forever?
No,
you can't do that.
Keep it longer than a day.
keep it
What you
longer
mean?
than
Who's to
6
say he's
hours.
ordering food every single day? Especially who's to say that dollar that Killer Mike paid would be
Obviously,
used the next day to buy produce, meat, etc. ingredients. You don't know that, so you got to do your job,
bro,
which is give to the black restaurant instead of micro analyzing it to the point where it's like, oh, you buy from a white farmer.
No, listen. It's a statistic, right? So it's not as literal. It's literal, but it's not as literal as it sounds. Where it's like only like once you get paid, like it's gone in 6 hours. No, it's more of a statistic of how many times do black people actually go to black restaurants. Probably in this economy, maybe some, maybe not a lot. Fast food restaurants still make a lot of more money than any other restaurant, obviously because of the quickness and the speed of the service. And then two, when that black owner does get that payment and how do they spend that? Does that last in the community? Do they go to black farmers that are locally in the area to keep it circulating, because the black farmers are then going to give them back the food, and that's the cycle that he's talking about. When you give that money to the white farmers, that money is gone. It's not coming back.
Right.
That's the point of what he was, in my opinion.
So what did he do instead? Instead, he did not spend that money, and he did not give it to the black community at all.
He bought the food.
I'm saying, idealistically, he didn't. He didn't even eat the food. So he really did not pay the man in a general sense, because if he would have found out that information in the first place, he would not have eaten there.
Okay, Swaff, let me stay
So what do you
for 1 second. You just said idealistically he didn't buy it from a black farmer. When something tangible is given to you, that means that he is paying him and that he is receiving the money. So doesn't matter whether it's
Yes, it does. Yes, it does matter, because if he would have found out beforehand, would he have bought the food?
I still think so. Because
You still think so? What the
That
fuck?
restaurant owner is a black restaurant owner, and he would have still paid him. I think so.
Okay, you
I
just
think,
all right then.
I don't think he would have
We
paid
can't even
him.
argue at that
I don't
point.
think he would have paid him, but I think he would have had a conversation with him.
Okay, that's different.
No,
But he did.
because I think
That's different.
I know
But he did.
I know he did. That's what I'm saying. Publicity, again, marketing. At the end of the day, some of those businesses that he went to, a lot of people are like the whole Cripple Cola thing. I'm looking for Cripple Cola in the in random ass stores
I think
now
that shit is dope.
because it's a dope idea, and it's going back to black business at the end of the day, that you saw them home make it, so it's staying in that, at least in their household, or at least in the hood. But nonetheless, I think he still would have had a conversation about, like, why don't you go to black farmers? Is there black farmers that you know of?
So this is why I think that it's silly to kind of think of it like that, because let's say you said you support your local black barber.
Sure.
Do you know who makes their clippers?
No.
Do you know who makes the brooms or the chairs that you sit in?
Hopefully Bevel makes their clippers.
Do you know who supplies the electricity
Is Bevel?
to that barber shop?
I'm sorry?
No. The answer is no. You don't even got to hear the question. The answer is no. You do not know.
Okay.
And so we're still going to get in that same trap of trying to live so black that we're now trying to segregate ourselves, and we're not. Those are
one-off purchases, though, bro.
What you mean one-off purchases?
You're talking about
that's a consistent purchase you make to get a haircut.
You don't consistently pay for chairs. You don't consistently pay
consistently pay for electricity.
Now, when
you
you
consistently are going to be buying new clippers.
When you say desegregation, what is your definition right now?
Our definition of
as a black
desegregation
community?
is okay. Let's break it down to the restaurant example.
Okay.
If it was segregated,
Uh-huh.
we would not be able to buy from the white farmers.
No.
We would not be able to get electricity from these white companies.
Maybe still.
We would not be able to buy plates, silverware. That's what are you talking about? Maybe so.
Because
Nigga, it's
in
segregation.
the civil rights era, they had electricity. So obviously there weren't. I don't know if there were any black electric companies like
Listen,
that.
man, there are. There's banks. There is electricity.
That's what segregation is. Separate.
No, you know what's funny? There's still restaurants out here in the world that don't allow people that look like me or look like you in. And there's a certain type of class that is allowed in. Now, there's a certain way of saying it. I think we forget that for 1 second. There's a certain class that's allowed to come inside and sit here. It's not about, it goes skin deep at this point. It's all about class. It's about where you hold your status in community. Now, you can be an upper echelon black man and go and sit there. You can, because you have class, you have stature, you have some type of sustainability out on your own, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it is that you're a lawyer, a doctor, an entrepreneur of some type, you're like that's why I think being a handyman nowadays comes in clutch, because things are technical. We look at things in a more technical standpoint, and I think those things come into play a lot more. But there are places like that in the world still to this day, and still in this country, that will not let our asses in, because we don't have class. We don't have that stature. Forget about everything else. It's more than that, dude. I think influence is the biggest thing that affects a community nowadays. When I see my local black barber, right, and I go there, I'm probably going to go there tomorrow, I see kids there. I see kids that are in high school that are more susceptible to making bad decisions, right? But I see influence in that shop. I see influence because I see each and every single one of those barbers that work there at CJ Cuts saying, giving advice, not telling them, giving them a job, handing them a broom to brush up, to pick up the hair on the floor, so they ain't outside running around on their off time on weekends, getting to licks with their friends or whatever the fuck it is, whatever the hell they want to do, which is keeping them away from negativity. They're getting opportunity. That's influence. They're learning something. That's example. That's what it is.
My last question for this specific topic. You talked about how you always you support your local Pakistani grocery stores.
Well, not me specifically. My mother does, and I live
or
there.
but your family does.
My family does. Yes.
So when it comes to being pro-black, and what that episode was, how far are you willing to go to live pro-black? Like, he only did it for a day, and you saw the struggle he had, even just to get around. Like, in reality, is it, in 2019, is it possible to be completely pro-black?
I think you can do anything, because if you do the research, you find out hard enough, because Killer Mike was going through that. Cars, cell phones, and all this stuff that we materialize, right? We materialize things that we can hold.
No cars.
Phones. Okay.
Yeah, you would just have to be. You'll be
No
dumb
cars.
green, because you'll be biking. You'll be biking a lot of
You'll be
places.
biking a lot more. Cool. You were talking about carbon footprint the other day. We'll discuss that later. But but yes, I do think so, and I think I can live Pakistani if I decided to. I think so.
To answer your question, no, not to the extent Killer Mike was saying.
So you're saying that
To the extent of
So you saying that you can't live pro-black?
it
for that
can't
long?
be consistent.
I'm saying you can't live Killer Mike pro-black to the point where, because at the end of the day, he got some bikes, right, that was from a pro-black shop. Like, if it was really thinking as deep as he could about it, he ain't question where those shit was manufactured.
the brakes and the
he
handle.
didn't question that shit. So that's what I'm saying about this country in general. Like, the idea to say, all right, I'm going to live completely pro-black. I'm only going to buy from restaurants that buy from black farmers. I'm not going to cop from any weed men because most of them are Californian and they're white.
He's right.
Like, at the end of the
He's
day,
right.
like, is that realistic for you? He was miserable and he couldn't smoke because he didn't want to integrate.
Listen, man.
Like, I have
Listen.
nothing, and I'm biracial, so this really hits to the heart, because I know for the fact that when you do actually bring some shit together,
Yeah.
when you do actually open your mind to be smart about it,
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, so the restaurant owner, if he was buying his produce from a farmer he knew, a black farmer, but he was buying his meat from a white farmer, Killer Mike, in his idea, would not eat from that restaurant, because still an aspect of it is white. But I see nothing wrong with that shit. I see that being as close as pro-black as you can get in this country.
Okay, you know what I saw in that episode? What I saw was there was no support for your local black business. That's what I saw. In every single
Or
one.
if there was support, it was little. It wasn't as impactful as in other communities.
Right. Bring me a telescope to see, where the support in that community, especially in Atlanta, where it is in the black community. This man walked into an all black grocery store, which was pretty damn big, given the area and the location was not so good, but predominantly black. We can say that. And there was no one inside that store. Nobody's shopping in there. Nobody's at that bike store. I saw employees because they want to get paid. Yeah, they're all black. Cool. I don't see anybody in there going in there to support that local that bike shop, which is such a nice thing for the community. When you don't have a car and when you can't get to your job, come here. Support the business. They want you to get to your job. Like, there's a beauty in it. When you cannot see it, I cannot peel your eyes back and have you look at it. I can't do that for you. You are your own man. You speak for yourself and you make those decisions all on your own. But what I saw no support. I didn't see any love. I saw him trying. I'll take effort over no effort any day of the week. I'm being for real. I'll take a little bit of effort and a little bit of 3 days, whatever it was he did it for, over nothing at all. Just being straight.
Well, let's not forget, like, he was in a black community, so if he went in there when it was busy, every nigga in the store is trying to get in the shop. All right, so
true.
let's think about it. It was a series at the end of the day. He had to be strategic about it. Even at one point, he went into a bank and there was nobody in the bank.
Hey man, whatever.
Well, most bank he probably went on off hours.
Okay, well, he went to the grocery store on off hours.
Whatever,
What you mean? Probably when it just owned.
Whatever
open.
it is, he's shining a light on something that
It's a good question.
it's a very good question to ask, and it's something that we should be. I thought this was nothing. It didn't make my jaw drop. It just kind of hurt me. Like,
yeah, the truth hurts.
The truth fucking hurts. Like when you see cities like Detroit, that shit hurts. Trust me. I rode through Detroit, and I'm like, if this place could still be prominent to this day, one of the most richest cities in America at one point, and you look at it now, holy
Yeah, it was sad when I went there.
Man.
But
It's
you know
so
where the
sad.
shit. You know where the shit starts. It's literally, it starts with our seeds. So when we do finally start having some kids, thank God, ain't happened yet.
You gonna say that?
When we do start having some kids,
Oh, he's 100% right.
Yeah, I ain't gonna say. Oh, it starts with our seeds, but thank God I don't have any.
real talk, I don't have none yet. Thank
I
God
ain't
for
ready
that.
for him. I ain't ready.
Yeah, God
None that
knows
you
where
know
I'm.
of.
God knows where I'm at. You feel me?
Right.
He see me.
Facts.
I see you. That's some Avatar shit. But nah. It starts with our kids. Like we gotta coach them up to that shit because we weren't coached up to that shit. So of course we're gonna go to Mickey D's. Of course we're
It's
gonna
all
go to
about
Walmart.
culture.
The prices
and it's
is
all about how you push
cheaper.
your culture.
You
And
said it yourself. You as far as the grocery store, your mama really led that charge, and so
Facts.
it's passed down to you.
It's passed down to me, dude. Mango juice all day.
So there's nothing wrong with being black and proud, especially instilling that in your kids.
Right.
Can that go too far though?
What is an example of that?
I don't know if y'all seen this video recently of this interracial couples. They were sitting around the table. It was a bunch of interracial couples. And when I say interracial, I mean dark as Wasis, Mr. Valentine, black. Oh damn, I forgot about Mr. Valentine. Shout out to the boy John. But shout out to Wasisi. He black, he African as fuck. Imagine him with a white woman. Sorry, T. Imagine him with a white
Seal.
woman sitting around a round table with a bunch of other interracial couples, just as polar opposite. African, white, and celebrating the fact that they have made light-skinned babies. That's what they were. That's what they were saying.
Who was the couple?
Was
he
he
like
it was
a
an NFL
football
player?
It's always football players. Why is it always?
Yeah, it was an NFL player, and I'll get his name here in a
running
couple
back
moments.
Cutting a woman in an
It's probably like a
elevator.
third string corner or a second string.
No.
douchebag.
There's some prominent ones out there that be straight up dogging, bro.
No, I'm just saying like this specific one I couldn't recognize.
No, I'm glad that this question arose about interracial couples.
So interracial couple.
Dude, tell me how you feel about it, Nick.
As far as promoting light skin, just like light skin babies.
No,
Well,
when
hold
you
on. Do you
say-
get the full scale of the picture? Like they were celebrating the fact that they had light-skinned babies. None of them at the table being actually
Dark skin.
light-skinned.
That
Or-
shit to me is for the fucking birds.
But what do y'all think about that?
I think
That's wrong.
Is it celebrating black? Is it celebrating interracial relationships? What do you think? What was their first reactions to that shit?
I think because from what I saw of it, it looked like they were everybody else was either white or like you said maybe mixed, and there was just one dark skinned dude at the table, and he was the father of the light skinned baby. from what I saw, what I got from it was that a lot of people, or just like, it's the prime example of what black people say is like we should only be with like each other. Like black people should be with black people. It's the same reason why anytime you see a black man in an interracial relationship with a white woman, you see the comments of black women like, you know, like just basically talking hella shit about them, and vice versa. Black men don't like seeing their black queens with, you know, with white men either, and it's because of those reasons for that. It's the fact that at deep down people feel like it's some insecurity within yourself about your own race, that you don't feel like you still
it's that self-hate.
You still have a hierarchy of ethnicity when it comes to being like white dominance in this country, and that was just a prime example of it. But as far as holistically, do I think that celebrating all skin tones is cool and represents black power? To a certain extent, yes. But at the same time, like, how can you be like I bring, like, we always joke about being pro black on this show and stuff, like, just because it just like Killer Mike showed, and in the conversation previous to this, it's hard to be it.
Yeah,
so
you
like,
gotta do your part.
You gotta do your part.
This is our part.
But it is there. It gets to a point where when you realize how pro black can you be when both your parents aren't.
Can I please intervene for one moment? So being non-black, given I'm never ever going to marry a white woman or anyone that.
Never say never.
No, I will say never, and I'll say never. No, I'll say never.
Wait until that one white woman with some power getting you.
Exactly. He gonna meet a badass white woman with some.
I like where my balls where they exactly at. Okay, I ain't having them. Listen.
The
Listen to me for 1 second.
The highest position in our job today, she retired, and he was bragging about the fact that she gave him a hug and grabbed his ass. He was like, "I might have to."
So okay.
All right, yeah, he over here talking about like he Pakistani or die. Nah, bro, chill out.
Okay.
You want a white woman with money.
You one white compliment away.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So, I will say this: lineage and bloodlines go a long way. Now, I'm not bringing up no mudblood Harry Potter shit over here. Okay? But what I'm gonna mention is that
shout out to Harry Potter.
Right.
Fuck that nigga. Pro black boy. They had 2 niggas on that show, that movie.
Okay.
They had 2 niggas in the series.
But the nigga lasted though. That's the only thing that mattered.
The nigga
After all that shit,
the nigga left when he got How to Get Away with Murder opportunity.
Okay. So, as I said, I believe in bloodlines. Okay, and I think history always matters and still stays true to the test of time. If y'all didn't know your history, we would not be having these discussions or anything for the matter of these questions that raise awareness and brings certain things to light, right? So when I see, now Killer Mike also brought this up too, because he's married to a black woman who holds him down and does everything and anything that you can ask of a woman. But he said it himself. I think Nick Cannon was on Breakfast Club, like, I think he was on.
No, he had his own podcast.
Yeah.
He had his own podcast, and he was like, "Of course, I'm gonna date. I'm gonna be with a white woman."
Or he can see why black men.
Yeah, he was just saying he can understand.
Right. I couldn't have
that
you
way
at a
of
certain.
There was a certain time where I couldn't have you. It's always going to that human instinct. We always want what we can't have.
Right. We can't. Right. Exactly. So me being a Muslim, as far as saying goes, I try to be the best Muslim as I can. Right. But I know what my values are, and I know what my traditions are, and I need that shit to stay true till my bones get old. And
when did you come to that realization?
Recently. Just a couple years ago, actually.
I was going to say a couple days.
Yesterday. So,
to be honest with you,
But, no, but for real, though, like, that shit needs to stay with me. It needs to stay within my walls. It needs to stay within my house. It needs to stay with my dad's name. Because if I involve some Catholic, nothing wrong with Catholics. Just kidding, y'all fucked up. But like, if I involve like a proper holy Christian girl, being a Muslim man, there's going to be a divide.
At
when
some
we
point
have
in time.
At some point in time. Because, well, for one, as humans, we're selfish. And men, even more so than women, given I think it's about even. But we want exactly, as men, when we have boys, we want them to be just like us. We know damn well it's never going to happen like that. But we actually want to leave some type of imprint, right?
Exactly.
So when you have a white woman walking around in an apron and, you know, daddy's black ass or brown ass walks through the door, you know, he's giving you something else. But she's delivering something else while whatever, when she has time with the kid and he has something, you're giving him too much at that point. Because
that's what you feel like.
Because he won't know what he is. He won't know exactly what he belongs to. And I think I'm going to marry a Pakistani Muslim woman. I know that. I'm going to do that. Hey, ma. And so it's just going to be that way because I need to keep it like that. I need my bloodline to stay that.
I can attest to that. I can attest to that because I'm interracial myself.
Well, I was going to ask, I'm going to ask you a question specifically. But I would say this. First and foremost, I think all of us are just, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I just want to put this out there. We're not against interracial relationships.
I'm not against it.
We're just bringing a perspective of the importance of continuing a lineage that that we were raised on.
Well, let's say this.
But
I'm not only am I not against interracial dating relationships, I'm all for it. I'm 100% for it.
This dude.
So you're 100% for interracial?
100%. First off, that's going to be the only cure to racism. Is interracial relationship.
I think that's the only way. Okay,
so
it's gonna.
There's always going to be some sort of racism.
It's going to cure racism.
Something is going to take the place of racism. Let me get that off the table. Something will take the place of racism, and it'll be what has already been in place of racism, which is the social classes.
My
you
question
touched on
is,
that before, but it's classes.
My question
the
to
fact
you,
that there are social classes.
My question to you is how pro-black can you be as an interracial child?
How pro-black can you be as an
cannot.
interracial child?
Yes,
you cannot.
Yes, you can.
You cannot.
Because this idea that us accepting other ideas or ideologies or accepting another race makes us less pro-black, it's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
Okay, so later on when you marry a
white woman.
See, I didn't mean to go so hard on it, but I'm going to because fuck y'all. So, like, I mean, when you marry a white woman, and later on your child, you know, he's a mix of two, and, you know, daddy married a white woman, so I'm going to marry a white woman. And then his kid, he's going to marry a white woman. At some point in time, that shit starts to fade. And then at some point in time, history becomes insubordinate. There was no black to that kid 3 generations down the road. It becomes a fairy tale.
Well, then what about this idea that you just said about history being a staple? Like, no matter what, you're not going to get rid of history.
Because if you're keeping it within you, if you're keeping it within my child is of my descent, he doesn't have any other, you know.
I get what he said.
So let's pretend for 1 second that another race other than black people went through a struggle. And let's pretend
we don't have to pretend. We can just pick and choose. You want Native
Whoever
Americans?
you want,
so then, given that idea, what makes you think that a kid could not be pro-black when, at the end of the day, being pro-black is just about loving your black community?
How many Native Americans have you
doing work for your black community?
How many Native Americans?
Where in the fabrics of genetics does that come into play? Where it's like, oh, you're half white, or in my case, you're half Latino. You couldn't be pro-black. You can't love a black person as much as I could.
I'm not.
You couldn't understand the struggle of a black person as much as I could. I'm full black. Like, that sounds idiotic, doesn't it?
No, it to a certain extent, yes. But I'm just saying this. The reason why I posed that question to you is because as an interracial child, like Ali was saying, you have to make a choice. Like,
there's a struggle. I'll give you that.
Like,
and that's what I was going to touch on.
Logic talks about this a lot.
There's a struggle. It wasn't until college.
He talks about it every song.
Yeah,
it really wasn't until college where I was like actually making intentional, deliberate efforts to get in touch with my Latin side, with my Hispanic side. It wasn't until then. So
No, you went through 3 phases, bro.
Up until that point, yeah, and then cap off the fact that the community I lived in, it was a suburban area, so there was a lot of white faces around.
Yeah.
Right.
We had to niggify you.
So think about all that. Now look at where I'm at now. These motherfuckers are always quick to say you a nigga. You just a nigga this, nigga that. Like, nah, I'm a lot more than just a nigga. And so that's exactly why when you make that deliberate choice, that makes you, if anything, I feel like that makes you more pro-black than anything.
What do you identify?
When I have that, because you don't have a choice but to be black.
No, I have a choice.
So you ain't choose that. I'm choosing to live a black lifestyle.
Have y'all seen Dr. Phil?
No, listen.
So what does that say about me?
Hold on.
And then what does that say about you?
Hold on. I have 2 choices. I could be either super African or I could be black. Those are
and the fact that you separate it makes you less pro-black.
No,
Why
but
culture.
The fact that you
Why are you
separated
separating them?
makes that divide even greater.
Because there's
Is
a
it culture?
legit
There's
2
not.
different cultures. You telling me there's no difference between the black culture and African culture? Then you don't know your history.
I didn't say
There's a
culture. I'm not talking about culture.
That's what we're talking
about being
That's what
pro-black.
That's what we're talking about. Black.
So if you support African businesses, you're not being pro-black?
No, that is being pro-black.
Okay, then what are we talking about? We're not
No,
talking about like the
I'm talking
culture
to-
differences and traditions. We're talking about like the support that you have.
The blanketed statement of being pro-black, yes, it encompasses a lot of different things like Caribbean heritage, African heritage, and the Black American experience. But what I'm talking about specifically when I say I can either be super pro-African or pro-black is more towards of the dynamic of how I the ideology that I think and what I subscribe to, and also how I go about my if I do have children or when I do have children, what type of things I would instill in them, because it's 2 different cultures that we acknowledge, but that means that there's 2 different upbringings.
I'm gonna just say it like this.
Hold on, let me finish. When when I ask you this question though, I'm gonna ask you this question is because when you talked about I choose to be black, is it really like, is that really your, like, 1, is that really your choice, or 2, could you choose to be Latino?
Exactly, and that's what I was about to say. I'm more pro-black than you because I choose to be black when I could be Mexican. Just flat out Mexican.
You can't be Mexican.
I could just be flat out Mexican.
If you
I
looked
could just
at him,
say this.
If you looked at him, what do you think?
He's black.
Exactly, because I have my hair cut.
No.
Because of the clothes I wear,
No,
the
give it-
style
give-
I
give-
take.
give
But
it-
let's say I
light skin,
just started
you look black.
talking. Let's say I just started talking Spanish.
Listen, man.
Let's say I just started.
I said this
listening-
nigga knows Spanish.
Let's say I just started listening to Latin music. Let's say I just started dating Latin bitches.
I would say you have a preference.
Okay, and that's further and further away from your idea of pro-black. But instead, I go the other direction. And I'm not always even proud of that shit because I'm both. And so I like to still embody both of them as best as I can.
And that's the struggle that I'm asking is like, how pro-black can you be because you do have strong ties to
And
one
that's my
side and the
answer.
other.
That's my
Listen, man,
answer.
I
More
think-
pro-black than a nigga who's only nigga.
Listen.
That doesn't make sense.
I'm more pro-black than y'all niggas.
I'm thinking about the fact that we are literally discussing right now the promotion of a light-skinned child, like they're on fucking sale, like BOGO. The promotion. A promotion. You know what a promotion means? That means going up to something. So, are you degrading the other thing if the child is all black?
I just think it's just
That shit is so fucking
it's just bad.
backwards.
It's just bad optics for a table full of light or white people and one dark skinned person, and they're saying, yeah, we want more light skinned people. Like, it's just
I think
it doesn't resonate well, especially with the history of this country.
Nick, right? Like, hear me out for 1 second. If we were to start something, okay, and our roots and our forefathers, like whatever it is, we're the forefathers, okay, and of course we want some type of diversity and we want change, but for the better. But our roots need to stay the same. Our history needs to stay the same. It needs to stay within our blood, right? So once you have something that's interchangeable, something, let's just, like the relationship aspect, at some point in time, history does become forgotten. And it's proven time and time again that it has been forgotten. There are things about Black History Month that we don't know about, that we don't remember, things that happened behind the scenes that were prominent, that were happening. But where's the light on it? You know, at some point in time, it becomes obsolete.
And that's what I'm saying.
It gets pushed out.
more pro-black than
And
y'all
that
niggas. That's crazy.
and that's why I was saying like there's different types of experiences with different types of ethnicities, and some experiences are more close together than others, just like being African and being black. But then there's some experiences that are just so far on the opposite extreme, like being white and being black.
Yeah.
So when you have an interracial child, especially if they're black, they're more likely going to look like the black parent, because black genes are dominant when it comes to interracial, or just more people of color. Their genes are more dominant than the white culture. However, when it comes to that child's upbringing and that child's mindset and ideology, it does come into question as far as down the line of bloodline, will that still be sustained by which race?
Given we got this weak ass holiday of a month, to acknowledge Black history, it's a joke. But like,
Black History Month is for everybody but black people.
so right.
Why do you say that?
It's for anyone. It's for everyone to pretend that they know anything about Black
Because
history.
let's think about it like this: we don't do shit different.
I do.
No, you don't.
I got KDs on right now. I got the Black History Month
Nick,
shoes.
shut up, Nick.
Who's Katie signed with?
He signed with the pro-black business Nike.
My point exactly.
Homeboy's name
So,
is Phil Knight.
We don't do anything
Sign us.
different.
Hey, they got Cap.
We don't do anything different. All we are is acknowledged by the other races.
We
in
support
that
black businesses
History
right now.
Month.
We in Dead End Studios right now. That's a black business. Ken right here.
Facts, 100%.
He was eating some fried chicken earlier. That's as pro-black as you can
Wait,
get.
where was it from?
Oh,
Where
if you
was it
say
from?
KFC, bro, we done.
Oh my God.
How much the rent here? And who is getting that rent? This is at the end of the day, we're getting highlighted for being black. Even if you're a smidget black, you can celebrate, but we don't do. How do you celebrate Black History Month, Nicholas?
Okay.
We have conversations like that every year. We have conversations.
How do we celebrate Black History Month?
Every year
I don't think this is something that we need to celebrate. It's something we need to acknowledge at least. Not only it's just that we're diluting it to a fucking month for something that happened over hundreds and hundreds of years.
You don't have to dilute
that
it for
is
me.
So disrespectful.
You don't have to dilute it for black people.
No. Exactly.
This is diluted for everybody but black people. This is not no time where we're gonna do anything different. I'm not upset. I'm not upset. If anything, I like this shit.
Does it make you upset when you see a person that isn't normally, bump around thumping, I'm black and I'm proud, but he does it specifically around this time of month? Does that piss you off?
No, it doesn't piss me off. Because if anything, who knows? Maybe this Black History Month, it'll make it a trend for him.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like, I don't know really how I feel about Black History Month as far as, do I think it's necessary, or do I think it's more of like not disrespectful, but more just like, we're just doing this to make them feel better. But I will say this.
It's a consolation prize.
I will say this within this country.
It's a fucking third place. Thank you for participating. Here you go. Get the fuck on. Free ice cream down the bar.
I will say within this country, we do need to. I can't hate on a designated month that is supposed to be supporting black people, because we've been through so much, or not we, but black people have been through so much that to be appreciated in any sense, I think, is an accomplishment.
That sounds like you're settling for exactly what someone else is going to give you.
But I'm not being appreciative of white people being appreciative of us. I'm talking about black people being appreciative of black people. It's very rare that you see black people being able to celebrate who they are outwardly without some type of resistance.
Nick.
No, without some type of occasion. We have to have a reason to celebrate ourselves. And that's the issue that I hold. That's the issue I hold.
Well, at the end of the day, so then what are you saying? We could do this every day of the year, right?
Nick,
and we most likely do.
Nick.
But this month is just like with Christmas. You can give a gift to any motherfucker any time of the year, but there's a specific month and day that you give gifts.
Oh, because Jesus was born?
No, I mean, I didn't go into history. I'm just saying, but
else,
I'm just talking about the Christmas.
Who's Jesus?
Let's not do this, Michael.
Who's Jesus born in December?
Let's not do this, okay?
All right, we're not
Right,
going to
right,
go
right.
there.
It's hot in Africa every day of the year. So you know what I'm saying? Like, he could have been born in the summer, December, the same shit.
Right. Facts. No, I mean, with I think, as I said, it's the reason that we need. It's February. It's highlighted, bro. It's on February 1st, like on everybody's fucking calendar with the firemen and the dogs and everything. Black History Month. Like, let's finally show them how black we are.
And honestly, it's the best. It's the best minority month of the year.
It's not, because
don't
it's
know
at the
about that.
tail end of winter, and so most niggas is freezing and can't even go out.
It's
What you mean? We was just out at the Super Bowl.
Nigga, this is Atlanta.
Did we not go out?
It's Atlanta. We don't apply.
It's low key dog shit weather outside. So I mean, I don't know.
It's just raining now. It ain't dog shit.
Midwest niggas ain't celebrating Black History Month. They inside cold, probably watching Friday.
Hey, that's going
If
to
that's
a
your
black
celebration-
man.
No. Y'all going off track. Hold on. Wait, once Friday comes into play, I gotta get y'all back on track.
All right, listen. All I'm saying is this: I don't have an issue with us having a Black History Month. My issue is feeling like, okay, now this is the time to bring out the decorations.
I don't think we should give it a name. I think every day, as I said, every day should feel like an accomplishment if you do something right and you do good by others. And I don't want to sound like a preacher, but that's all it takes. And if you're labeling it, you're already diminishing its value.
But you said it needs to be. You said there's certain black historical moments that need to be acknowledged, right? I think you mentioned that. Or there's certain aspects of the black experience that need to be acknowledged.
There's certain things that happen in history that are forgotten. That should be shown
Right.
So-
let's not categorize it just the Black History.
Yeah,
but
This month, look, we have to do this because we're dumb as fuck. Like, at the end of the day, we're gonna get caught in the whirlwind of life if we didn't have certain things like Black History Month, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Like, we wouldn't be spreading joy every month of the year if there was no Christmas. We wouldn't be sitting down to dinner with family that's from far away making a big meal if there was no Thanksgiving. So same way with Black History Month, we would not be acknowledging deliberately, like taking time out of my day, like, you know what, I ain't do this last month.
Right.
I love you. You a fellow, you are my other black nigga. You my brother. I love you for that. Just because it happens to be, like, just because this month reminded us of that doesn't mean like it's some type of negative shit. Like, we need that as people because we forget.
Exactly. That was my point. I was just saying, like, as children, Black History Month actually is necessary within, I would say, within this some type of educational system. Whether you go to an all-black school or whether you go to an all-white school.
But then that's just history, Nick.
But there's a reason, like you said, there's a reason that things need to be passed down. Just like how your mother instills you, there's certain Pakistani cultural
Traditions and
aspects
cultures,
and
right.
tradition that you can't learn that shit in America culture. You have to learn that some way, in a specific manner. So if Black History Month changes like some white child's life or some black child's life, I can't a perspective on American culture or just how to be kind to your fellow peer. How can I get mad at that? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I say, like, I understand your guys' reason as far as it being belittling and somewhat demeaning, but at the same time, there is some good aspect from it. It's not all
So
bad.
all in all, this holiday, this is what I got from it. This holiday should not be for black people. It should be for everybody else. Win-win situation. Cool. All right. Yeah, that's what I got from it.
Speaking of,
I mean, fair enough.
Speaking of a person who could have used Black history.
God, just let me do the segue. Bro. You seen how cleanly I did the interracial couples?
Segue.
That was a great segue, though.
That was a great segue.
Mine was?
Props.
Mine was.
Even yours was all right.
Yeah, you started.
Yeah,
Wow.
okay.
Okay. It's
Liam
Black History Month
Neeson,
and they
bro.
hating on the interracial.
Speaking of dog shit weather, there's a cold pursuit.
Speaking of taking
That was good. Oh God.
taking the holiday for granted.
Bring out the puns. Bring it out the puns.
And Schindler had a list.
God.
There's a lot of black widows.
Oh God. Yeah. Hey man. Hey, can he really be racist when he making out with her ass like that in the beginning? of the
Viola
movie?
Davis.
Facts.
Yes. Have you ever heard of slavery, motherfucker?
Oh my
It's
God.
like
Okay,
shit.
okay.
Were they not? Okay.
Continue.
There's a reason we're light skinned.
Those.
Oh, he's stupid as hell.
So Liam
They was making
Neeson.
out with him just like that.
So there's a movie that came out called Cold Pursuit, which is basically a spinoff of Taken. With starring
like
Liam
every
Neeson.
other movie of his. Okay.
If it's Liam Neeson, most likely there's some.
He has a vendetta and he's
Right.
He's made to kill.
Somebody's child is missing.
Yeah.
Right.
He fucked up in parenting somehow, some way.
He's a bad father.
Yeah. All in all,
He's more black.
Dude, he's more black than y'all, bro. Damn, for real, bro. Damn, yo.
Fuck you. I was about to say that, but I had to stop
Damn, yo.
myself because
Damn, yo.
you
I'm
know.
sorry, man. Leave it up to me.
So Liam Neeson
VH1.
in on his press tour to promote Cold Pursuit, he was on Good Morning America, and if you haven't heard about it now, you should go see the clip. But basically, he was saying how he could relate to the character that he's playing as far as the revenge story for vengeance is because when he was younger, I think it was either 40 or 20 years ago.
It was a minute ago.
A good
It was a minute
a good
ago.
friend of
It was
his,
right before the movie.
No, it was a minute ago.
a good friend of his, she was raped. When he asked her, who raped her, she said she believed it was a black man, and that's all he needed to hear. He didn't ask for much description after that. He just went after. He literally said he went out at night multiple times, looking to get in altercations with black men so he can not only beat them up but possibly kill them.
So this was before he was rich?
This was a long time.
He would have got his ass beat. I wish he would have tried a nigga.
100%.
He was in Ireland, bro.
No.
How many black people are in Ireland?
None. Well, slim to none, apparently.
I don't know.
One?
I know black sheep.
I'll
There's more
say
black sheep
one
than
at
black
a time. They're usually touring.
There's probably more blackface than black people.
When it's summer, they're around.
I mean, probably during St. Patty's Day.
Right.
But basically, obviously, this caused the uproar, and I don't know how it did in box office. I don't think it did that much well in box office. As well.
None of his movies will do well in the box office because, as you said, they're all rip-offs.
Well, he's gonna be in the new Men in Black film with Tessa Thompson and what's his name?
If he's not a villain or a cameo, that movie will tank.
He's playing. He's got a role like
he's
a big role.
like the head of the.
Yeah, he's like the head of the
headquarters.
British Men in Black.
MIB.
That movie will tank.
Okay.
Without him,
So
movie.
So with all that being said, when I first heard the story, I was obviously angered, and it was like it was a disappointing moment because I was like, damn, Liam. He's like, I actually fuck with some of the taking.
You were kind of cool.
You was kind of, not even cool, just like I respected you to some extent. Now, but then, so I was pissed off. But then I've been listening to a lot of commentary.
Thought about it.
I listened to specifically Trevor Noah when it was a YouTube clip where it was a behind the scenes of the Daily Show, and there was an audience member who asked him how does he feel about the situation, and he brought up really good points where he said he respected Liam Neeson to a certain extent because it wasn't like a I got you moment as far as he didn't get exposed by, like how it is nowadays where people get exposed for shit in the past.
He openly
said this,
what
and
he was thinking back
he
then.
also talked about, and he was also ashamed of it because that's why he brought it up. He was like, I realized it was like in Ireland there is a big sense of racism, and I realized that I went through therapy. He did talk about power walking it off, but he also said that he realized it was wrong, and he changed his
way of thinking.
His way of thinking.
So, was I upset that he said this? No, not for 1 second. Because he's white, and at some point in time, he was young, he was stupid, and as you said, where he lived, he had influence of racism about where his area was. Just so happens that the person that raped his friend, a very dear friend,
was the only black person in Ireland.
Was the only black person in Ireland. So that sounds like a TV show. That does.
That's
for
fucked
real.
up.
I'm gonna write that shit tonight. So it just kind of, it didn't make me upset because, bro, just like tweets, just like everything, this was him. The fact that he owned up to it and openly said it, I don't know, man.
I just find
Who the fuck gives a fuck if he came up openly? This is what I'm saying, bro.
Bro, Kevin Hart
How
can't
much
host the Oscars because of a homophobic tweet he made 13 years ago.
over a decade.
Over a decade
Irrelevant.
ago. This
Look.
guy had a feeling he had hate in his heart for a man that just so happened to be black, and he raped his friend. And
Allegedly.
Okay, actually, you know what? You know how much I respect him for actually coming out and saying it? Zero amount.
I knew that was coming.
Good.
All right.
Because at the end of the day, this motherfucker.
With an A.
Let's say, okay, hold on now. Let's flip the script.
Oh, Jesus.
I like to flip the script on motherfuckers. Let's say that it was anybody but a black man. Anybody but a black man that did this crime.
To an
Because-
Asian man. Let's say an Asian man.
Let's say it was an Asian man. And to me, I do not feel like he would have that same type of feeling. I don't think he would have identified that person as being, oh, now I feel this rage towards an Asian man. I think he would have identified it with some other aspect of who he was. He probably would have asked more questions like, what was he dressed in? How tall was he?
So if he would have said, I wanted to hunt down every single chink in Ireland, would he?
I don't think it would have got that far. I think he would have, like
He
I
wouldn't have
said,
got that far 'cause
like
he
I
went
said,
down the street and
I
that
think
was
he
it.
would have asked more questions. I think he would have asked more questions to identify who this person was. Asian wouldn't have been good enough for him. Pakistani wouldn't have been good enough for him. White man definitely wouldn't have been good enough for him. He would have been like, was he tall? Was he fat? Oh, okay. Every fat nigga who tests me at the bar, I'm beating his tubby ass. Nah, he would. That would have been a different narrative. That's where That's why I was upset with, because I was like, I'm not giving you brownie points for just coming out and saying this. Nobody begged him to say this shit. No one exposed him. You're right.
I would say
so for that simple fact, he didn't get got like most niggas in Hollywood or most people in Hollywood. Instead, he just immediately walked into the motherfucking. To be honest with you,
that's bold.
He walked through the door
to openly say it.
It's bold and
I thought
stupid.
the first thing I thought
So
was
he
like,
should be smarter as a white man in
so
Hollywood.
you'd rather have a wolf?
I'd
in
rather him
sheep's
keep-
clothing.
He's not a wolf in no sheep's clothing.
Listen, I'm
he
just
should have
saying,
kept that to
would you-
himself.
that's another point that
Because
that
think
someone
of the
brought up.
influence this motherfucker has to say that shit.
What
Almost as
influence
if
does
it's-
Liam Neeson have?
What do you mean? He's the man from Taken. Everybody wants to be able to save his daughter like this man did.
First of all, I wouldn't want to lose
If your
my
daughter was ever in some peril, wouldn't you think like, oh shit, I gotta go Liam Neeson on these motherfuckers?
He's kind of right.
So he has some influence. So let's say it like this. He is now giving young folks the green pass to have this type of rage and emotion, as long as later down the line they can admit it and say, I'm ashamed of that. That's not cool with me.
There's two things that I took for one. It was like, is white privilege so dominant in America that a white man can go on Good Fucking Morning America
And say that shit.
and say that shit out loud and
be comfortable.
and
And
damn
it's gonna add to his views. He would have got less than that if he ain't say that shit.
and then two, there ain't that many. There's less than 2% of black people in Ireland. And I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to be insensitive to women who've gone through rape and all that. But at the same time, when a white woman says that she got raped by a black man in Ireland, I'm looking at this bitch like, this woman like.
So 1940s, 30s, like prior, like when it used to be this black guy whistled at me in a grocery store.
Yeah, it's like Emmett Till shit. It's just like how like.
That's bold, Nick.
No, I'm just saying like
bold.
how many black men are in Ireland and how many black men.
Okay.
Can he?
Okay. We can say how many, as many times as we want to. For all we know, that place could.
I'm not saying.
Bro, they could be more. Like, they could have a community more pro-black than a motherfucker.
Facts.
No, I'm not
we
saying.
don't
Again,
know.
I'm not saying that she was lying, but I'm just saying. I'm not saying that she was lying, but I'm saying the evidence that he went off of was so minimal that it like.
Hold on. Let's take that example. Okay, if it was in Ireland, right? Why would his next question be, what color was he? Why wouldn't he just assume this motherfucker's white? If it's in Ireland and there's that many few black people.
Listen, man.
He was looking for something. He was hoping, in my eyes,
he was
that
angry.
This motherfucker
He was
black.
angry and he wanted to take it. And
he sounded like he was
wanted to
hoping.
know.
That was his second question,
I don't
bro.
think it was hoping, dude.
That was his second
question.
question.
He was hoping. He said, "I was hoping to run into some black bastards."
I mean that's after the
Right.
fact
I'm
that-
saying I think he was hoping that she said he was black.
Exactly. And that's my point. And
I
that's
mean,
my
why
point.
would that be his second?
And that's my
question?
point. And that's my
Why
point.
would? Okay. Hold on.
That's really
let's
deep.
Let's say
really deep, Marcus.
that is deep. Now let's say somebody just got robbed, right?
Yeah.
And you're in Pakistan.
What color was he?
How soon are you asking that question?
Probably after my 13th question.
Okay, so you're asking
you're-
a lot, right?
Because you're most likely thinking it's
Now
somebody
take-
from that country, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
So why would that be his second question?
Well, tourism
In
I don't know.
Ireland.
I don't know.
Especially 20 to 40 years ago.
Okay.
How many black people go to Ireland?
Hey,
In
listen,
Ireland.
How many black people go to
This
California?
is why I do not respect. This is why I do not respect
Black people don't travel like that.
his
Trust
admittance.
me and Swamp haven't been on a trip.
I would respect.
travel light.
I'd respect R. Kelly coming forth more than I
Shut
respect Liam Neeson
up.
coming
R. Kelly,
forth.
R. Kelly, I hope you die in prison. Go on.
Now,
I actually would want R. Kelly to come forth and admit to some of the shit that he's done. Just
Now-
so as far as justice.
Admit to it?
now this was just an example of yet another white man, I feel like, taking advantage of his power and imposing it on a black person.
No.
Have y'all heard that interview from Steve Harvey and Monique?
Yeah.
Okay, well, basically they were arguing. Steve Harvey was arguing from the sense of, I'm trying to continue to create generational wealth.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to operate in these certain lines. I'm going to operate
He's
in
gonna
these certain
compromise.
lanes. Exactly. Whereas Monique was arguing from the lane of, I want to stay true to who I am and who I've always been. I don't want to change. So that was an example of two people who are who now are off foot with each other because
They're off kilter because someone believes that they can't.
they can't maintain their life.
Change is the only
without
way to
changing.
progress. Like change is the only way to progress.
So basically,
Right.
and one isn't.
basically, Steve was like, "This the money game." That's what
Yeah.
he really said. This the money game, and there's gonna be certain L's that you're gonna have to take. And Monique was saying, "My integrity means more than money." And this brings up a good conversation, or just a good perspective
That's a very
of
good
what means
perspective,
what means more to you in life. As
What will
far
last
as,
longer for you?
or just what mean more? Do you want to be secure and take care of your family, and are you willing to do anything for that, or are there certain things you're just not gonna die like?
I live by the sword and I'll die by the sword. I stand by my integrity. I'll go with integrity.
Can your integrity be flexible?
Can it be bought?
Flexible. Is it? I have a bend but don't break integrity. There's a lot of things that I'll put up
My
with.
integrity is completely subjective.
but then again,
So he's giving up. He's selling out.
right.
Um,
I'm just
you can't be
saying
pro
that-
black and selling out.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I feel
If
like
you're
I'm more
selling out,
pro-black
sell-
for selling out than
If you're,
any of you.
if you're selling out, sell it to a black community
Yeah,
or a
exactly.
black barbershop.
I
So,
was, yeah, go ahead.
but like, it's interesting because, of course, in certain circumstances, you can be a little bit leeway and a little bit flexible and take a couple of lumps or something.
Yeah, because
But-
pride can be hurtful as well.
Right. So morals and morality, right? Like that's something that you cold-heartedly believe in. Like the moon comes out at night. That's it, and that's the way it's going to be for the next 3 billion years. That's something I believe in. That's my integrity. I'll put my integrity on that, and that's not something I will bend on. You know what I mean? Like you can bring your horse, and I'll bring mine. Like, and we'll both banter and talk and whatever it is. At the end of the day, it has to be a circumstance. There has to be something where, but even if I flex a little bit, I'm going to make sure that it kind of leads towards my side.
So is that selfish?
No,
Because think of it like this. You are putting your integrity over the sake of your kids and your kids' kids. Because they're not going to benefit off of your integrity.
well, every situation is different because
Your kids won't benefit
Every
off
situation
your
is
integrity.
because you just talked about how you were well, you're not single, but you don't have any kids. You're single in the sense of you're not married and you don't have kids. You don't have anybody dependent on you. So your integrity can be higher than someone who is a husband, a provider, someone who has people to answer to. You can be like, I take it or leave it type ass nigga, but somebody in that specific situation be like, I can't say take it or leave it because being real doesn't always pay the bills. For me,
Well, those are two incomparable situations.
no, but that's what Steve Harvey was talking about. He literally said,
No, because Monique has kids.
Yeah, she does, but right now she's choosing her integrity over
Right.
overall.
So that is her in the same
I
situation.
was just talking about me. I'm talking about us. I'm not talking
Okay,
about
so
them.
take us. We don't have kids.
Okay, so our integrity can be higher.
So, but we plan to have. I don't know about integrity even being higher. I don't even know if that makes sense.
I'm saying as far as our standards can be high, like what we want to deal with can be to like we're gonna have a lot of things we're not gonna deal with.
And you're saying at the detriment of no one right now.
At no one right now, yeah.
Okay, so
To our only us.
okay, that's not the argument. The argument it was comparing being in the money game to make sure that you have generational wealth versus staying true to yourself despite the effects it may have on the next generations. That's what they were really arguing.
I didn't see it as that, but if that's what you want to propose as the question,
Because
then
if not, then they were arguing to no end. Like there's no
obviously, nigga,
That's exactly
what it is.
they're
No,
never going
There's two
to
different sides.
They're never going
She
to
literally
come
said,
to a
"We're not going to
platform.
agree. We're going to
Yeah,
agree to
we're
disagree."
never gonna
right.
agree.
She said that, and obviously Steve Harvey wasn't satisfied with that answer because she was
Yeah, 'cause
taking a
he's Steve
selfish
Harvey.
perspective.
Yeah, because he's too.
She was taking a selfish perspective because she was pretending like she didn't have anybody to answer to but herself. And that's not true, is it? When you're single and not married and have no kids, then it would be true. That's not the case for her. So for her to say, I'm in the integrity game over, and Steve Harvey called it the money game, but really he's talking about
Hollywood.
producing general. No,
He's
we're
talking
talking
about
about generational wealth.
Their specific
He's talking
field-
about generational wealth. He's
There's-
talking about something he can pass
But
down.
if we're going to talk about them
And
specifically,
she's saying she's willing to risk that for her legacy.
no, that's what he was talking about. What they're specifically talking about is how Hollywood is done, and the business and the deals that get made, and it's not always based on merit. It's based on who likes you, what's your network like, and all that jazz.
No, they briefly touched on Hollywood.
No,
that
but-
happens to be the
No,
game
I'm
they're
saying
in,
that's
but
what. But I mean, they're in the entertainment business.
No, the source of the argument was the fact that he let him know, like, if he falls, like Monique let herself fall, his kids could potentially fall. His kids' could potentially fall.
Yeah, so
And
he's
he's
willing
not
to be
willing to
flexible
let
on this,
that
and
happen.
He's willing to be flexible on
She's
certain
saying
things.
her family has suffered, and she's fine with that because she's kept her integrity.
Okay. And
So that's the two arguments. Let's
Exactly.
not talk about Hollywood and shit like that.
But that's what we're
because
dealing
that's
with.
not what it's about. Because it could have been another entity. They could have been in a whole nother industry.
So
and
what
this
is your
conversation
question?
would
What is
still
your
be
question?
relevant.
What is your question?
That's not a question. I'm just stating that these are the two arguments.
I
I
know,
don't want to get us off track because we're trying to go off track and talk about Hollywood and shit like this. I'm saying, are you choosing?
That's your question.
Are you choosing your generational wealth? Are you choosing the sake of your kids or not even the well-being, but just that potential? Are you choosing the shit that you do have to answer to over yourself or not? And that's what she's choosing. She's choosing herself over the shit she has to answer to. He's choosing the shit he has to answer to over himself. What side do we stand on? I stand on Steve Harvey's side. I'm willing to sacrifice this shit for my family. I'm willing to I am at the end of the day.
If I'm Steve
I'll
Harvey,
be the scapegoat.
if I'm Steve Harvey, I'm not willing to sacrifice. There's only a certain amount of things I'm willing to put up with. Because Steve Harvey is too accomplished at this point in time to be putting.
You're bringing
up
it
with some
to
bullshit.
Steve Harvey too specifically. I'm talking about you, Nick.
I'm talking about if I was at his level.
I'm talking about you, Nick.
If
There's
for
only
me,
so much of yourself.
I
that
just
you
told
can
you I'm
give
a bend
up,
but
dude.
don't break nigga. I just told you what I am. I'm a bend but don't break. There's a lot of
So
things.
you're right in the middle?
No, I'm not right in the middle.
So you're willing to bend your integrity,
Give
but
me a
not to the
situation.
point?
Give me a situation. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I could give you 1,000,000, but I'm saying in a general sense, like we could all say we're bend not break, but that's like that's so
What do
safe. It's like you can't dwell in that forever.
Right now I can't. You're right. I won't. There will be a point in time where my family will mean more to me than my own.
So once you
personal
have a
strife.
family, that's when you're gonna choose your family over your self
Of
integrity.
course.
Okay, that's my question. Now, what about you, Ali?
What's up?
Are you choosing the shit you have to answer to, such as your family,
Yeah.
such as your future kids, your kids'
Mm-hmm.
or are you choosing your self-integrity?
To be honest with you, I am being selfish, and it is my self-integrity. Being completely honest, because once you start compromising for some of that stuff, once you start having that type of attitude over future, you'll start compromising for everything. Then there's none of you left. There's nothing that you hoped for survived. To me, that's sad. To me, there's only so much of myself that I can truly sell off inch by inch and make that compromise to do so. But at some point in time, it's going to start to feel good because of the end result. But I know for a fact, at some point in time, that shit is going to go away. It's going to fade. And that saddens me, because at some point in time, when people do remember you when you're gone, what are they going to remember about you? The fact of the matter is that, man, yo, I remember Suave. What do you remember about him? That he would always compromise. Or would you like this better? Man, I remember Suave, dude. He always stood by what he believed in. He always did exactly what he said he was going to do. He didn't move aside for nobody. He told you exactly what he believed in, and he stood by it, and you couldn't budge him. Right or wrong, there was some type of integrity he had in what he believed in.
I don't think that's
and
realistic.
he tried to prove it.
I don't think that's realistic.
Okay, so
I think
I'll
I
answer
think
your
it is.
question. I could give a fuck once I'm gone.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
know.
As
no,
long
no,
as
no,
my
I
kids
know
are
when-
straight. As
Yeah.
long as my
I'm not gonna.
family's straight.
But you're not gonna do.
That's when you choose. That's
But
why I'm
there's
saying.
still
Hold
a
on,
level-
can I
what
say my
is
piece?
straight, dude? Like they got 6 figures in the bank account. That's straight.
No, I mean that is straight.
I mean, yeah, that's nice.
I mean, yeah. Well,
While I was saying it, I was like, "Geez, this
that's a
is great."
start, but
Yeah.
no, I'm saying like I've now set the trend for my kids to do well, for my kids' kids to do well, and now I've changed the direction of my entire family, my
Right.
bloodline, and even if I did sacrifice my integrity to do it, looking back at it, I'll say
That's
that was a
bold.
battle won.
I mean, it's bold, but
It depends.
I
That's
think,
what I'm
I
saying.
think
You can't just say it so blank. You can't make a
Yeah.
general
I can.
statement like, "What? Like, are you
I
going
can.
to be?" Then, all right, then that's why my answer is I'll bend but don't break. So you can't be mad at my statement.
Right? No, I'm not mad at your statement. I'm just saying like you're not really thinking about that consequence. So you'd bend but not break, but your kids would not be as well off.
But that's up to my opinion. What I consider well off. My definition of that. I
Your
know.
kids would not be as well off.
No. That's up to you. That's what you think. Like
Your kids would not be as well off though.
again, that's what you think.
Like it wouldn't have that. That's the two sides of the shit. Like,
Generational wealth can only happen if you instill the correct things into your children to keep it going. It ain't just about having 6 figures in the bank because you can spend 6 figures within one generation and then
I
be
ain't say
done.
that.
I'm just saying, but like it's all about the integrity that you have. Should it most likely will be passed down based on how high your level it is, like of integrity you have. So when you say, "Oh, I'm willing to sacrifice my integrity for my family," your kids gonna see that shit. You think like, for example, we look at Kim Kardashian and her children. Her children are eventually gonna see how she got rich and famous, and which some people say that doesn't have much integrity to it. However, that created generational wealth. What you're saying. So, how would that
Alright.
continue on?
All right. So then, I guess the question would be, whose kids would you rather be? Kim Kardashian's or the broke man at the corner store, who's the most honest nigga in the spot? I mean, let's say this: the owner of a small barbershop who's just honest as fuck but don't got shit to his name. Versus,
No, he's got something to do.
He
with
got
it.
a barbershop.
He got a barbershop.
verse.
That's something.
That's
honest.
not. That may not be
That's-
generational wealth.
That's honest.
Okay.
That's true.
Verse.
Versus Kim
One of
Kardashian.
Kim Kardashian's
Right.
kids.
She got famous off of Ray J's dick, and
So would you
Look-
rather be Northwest
look
or
at-
would you rather be
South of the border.
Jaquan?
He just
Oh,
said
a
the owner of the
barbershop.
barbershop.
why'd you give him that name? I can't be like Gerald.
Because he's racist.
Oh.
That's his Latin side speaking for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I
Um,
can't be pro
I
black
don't
all
know.
the time.
with that, what you talking about kids as far as taking on that lifestyle and everything?
And let's say it like this, like our parents ain't perfect. I want y'all to know that. Like our parents ain't perfect. So we're already a couple Northwests. We're already a team of Northwests because they did some dirt back then
Don't
too.
you won't speak on my
Well, then
parents,
I'm
nigga.
fucking
Speak
I'm
for
upset.
speaking on your
yourself.
mama.
Well,
I'm
I'm
speaking on
fucking-
your daddy.
Well,
I'm
I'm
speaking on
fucking
your
upset, dude. I ain't $6 million fucking rich, dude. Because if my mom
Then it wasn't worth
Kim
it.
Kardashian, it ain't fucking worth
And
it.
if anything, so then that
Right.
means you're basically saying that the mama's dick sucking game was trash. Because
Right,
it
right.
ain't resulting in
It
6
got a
figures.
poor.
I'm
Yelp
saying y'all didn't
review.
answer my question.
What was your question?
Are you want to be Northwest or you want to be Jaquan?
Oh my God, really? I'd rather.
I'd rather be Jaquan
I'd
because
rather be Jaquan.
I don't want my kids to be I don't want to have my kids
Bro,
go to school
what?
and say like, oh yeah, I
Hey,
see your mama.
by the
like,
way,
your mama got a fat ass.
Your grandmama, right here, like on a GIF of her just sucking dick, dude. Like, how unfortunate is that?
That's pretty foul.
That's what I'm saying. Like I rather it's not.
It's a lot less foul with $1 million in your bank account. It's a lot less foul when you're pulling up to school in a fucking.
At that point,
So then you can't. So then you
integrity
would you
is
want
gone.
would you rather have your children?
Would you rather be Northwest or what was his name?
Jaquan? Whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
I'm Northwest, y'all. Holla at me, boy. I'll pick your bitches up from school. That's what I'll do.
He said
Y'all gotta go sweep the barbershop. Go ahead. keep that integrity.
He said they asked for the ball. Said they
Damn
said
it, dog. But y'all can be Jaquan. I respect y'all for that. I really
You ain't
do.
respect this
I
shit.
respect that for that. Let me know if you need a little small loan.
Hey man, whatever,
You can't-
man.
I'll buy some-
whatever.
I'll
You
buy
can't
us.
get that business loan for the white man.
Damn, you ain't eat lunch today?
Whatever, man.
I got you, bud.
Whatever.
All right.
Slutty mama packed me 2 sandwiches. I got you with one.
All right.
LOS, mama.
So, I guess the gist of this conversation that
Be honest. Or don't.
be flexible.
Be real. Be
Or
real.
don't.
Be real. Be real.
God
be real.
forgives. I don't.
Nah, look. The moral of this shit, the moral of this shit is, look,
God
it's
forgives.
Black History Month, or as I like to call it, 28 Days of Niggatism.
Or like to say 4th place.
Try your best to celebrate. Try your best to celebrate, because at the end of the day, this is not really for Black people. We celebrate all the time.
Okay, so non-black people celebrate.
Celebrate the shit, man. Like, you got a nigga friend. Don't act like you don't. You got a nigga you admire somewhere in your life. Celebrate.
There's some.
Don't call him a nigga if you ain't black.
Celebrate.
Not-
him.
not
Unless you
all-
earn that shit.
Not only
You don't
that.
earn shit.
Hey, can you earn the right to say nigga?
Hey man, I think I did.
Hey.
No.
You can't earn the right to say nigga?
Nah, not unless you black. You gotta have some type of black in you.
Like-
Okay, well then I'm
A or what is he saying?
Either one.
Either one. Okay.
Either one.
Yeah, nigga. I'm saying nigga.
I'm saying both.
So then what does that mean? It's not okay.
That means it's only meant for black people.
Okay.
There's certain things that
He's
just
lost.
only.
He's lost.
There's only certain things that meant for
He's
black
still
people.
straddling that African black side. Because Africans could give a fuck about the word nigga.
100%.
No, we use that against black people.
See that shit?
Bro, that's not bad.
That shit is so bad, bro. Oh my god.
Well,
That
to all
is
my
horrible.
niggas out there, Africans included, interracial niggas too. Shout out to y'all. Celebrate somehow, some way. Celebrate. This has been no disrespect, and I truly mean no disrespect.
That's us for this week. Holla.
Peace.